A world too much. Eli entered the world a screamer, not the usual kind, a lusty announcement of life. His cries were different, sharp, piercing, full of a primal fear. The world from the very first breath was too much. Light seared his eyes, sounds pierced his ears. Touch was a violation. He existed in a constant state of sensory overload, a fragile vessel adrift in a chaotic sea. His mother, Sarah, instinctively knew something was different. Her touch, usually a balm to soothe, only aggravated him. She held him tighter, whispering reassurances, but his tiny body remained rigid, his cries unabated. Fear, a cold fist clenched in her gut. What was wrong with her baby? Doctors, initially dismissive, spoke of colic, of adjusting to life outside the womb. But Sarah saw the truth in Eli's eyes, a window into a world of overwhelming sensations. She sought out specialists, navigating a labyrinth of medical jargon and conflicting opinions. Each diagnosis, each treatment met with limited success. Eli remained trapped, a prisoner in his own sensory prison. A mother's love, a son's struggle. Years passed in a blur of therapy, of sensory integration techniques, of desperate attempts to bridge the chasm between Eli's experience and the world around him. Occupational therapists taught him to tolerate touch, using weighted blankets and soft brushes to desensitize his nervous system. Speech therapists worked tirelessly to help him process language, a jumble of discordant sounds in his ears. Progress was measured in baby steps, each small victory a cause for celebration. But for every step forward, there were setbacks, times when the world became too much and Eli retreated further into himself. Sarah, his constant advocate, never gave up hope. She researched tirelessly, devouring books and articles on sensory processing disorder, determined to understand and help her son. Through it all, Sarah's love for Eli never wavered. She celebrated his quirks, his unique way of seeing the world. She created a haven for him at home, a sanctuary free from fluorescent lights and jarring noises. But the world outside, with its unpredictable chaos, remained a constant source of anxiety for Eli. School days, sensory maze. School presented a whole new set of challenges. The cacophony of the playground, the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, the accidental bumps and jostles in the hallway, all conspired to overwhelm Eli's senses. He became withdrawn, isolating himself from the other children. Their games, their laughter, were just another layer of sensory overload. Teachers, well-meaning but ill-equipped to deal with his unique needs, struggled to understand his behavior. He was labeled as difficult, sensitive, uncooperative. His meltdowns, often triggered by seemingly innocuous events, were met with frustration and exasperation. Eli, unable to articulate the storm raging within him, retreated further into his shell. Social interaction, a minefield of unspoken cues and unpredictable responses, filled Eli with anxiety. He longed for connection, but the effort it took to navigate the social world was exhausting. He found solace in books, in the written word, where he could control the pace and intensity of his interactions. High school, a retreat inward. High school, with its increased social pressures and academic demands, proved to be a nightmare for Eli. The hallways, teeming with teenagers, felt like an assault on his senses. The constant chatter, the shrill laughter, the locker doors slamming. Each sound reverberated through him like a physical blow. He took refuge in the library, the quietest place in the school. Surrounded by books, he found a semblance of peace. He excelled academically, his mind a sponge for knowledge. But his social isolation deepened. He had a few acquaintances, fellow outcasts who gravitated towards his quiet intelligence. But true friendship, with its unspoken rules and expectations, remained elusive. Eli's parents, desperate to help him, consulted with more specialists, tried different therapies, but nothing seemed to make a lasting difference. He was prescribed medication to manage his anxiety, but the side effects left him feeling numb and detached. The weight of his condition, the constant struggle to exist in a world not built for him, took its toll. The pressure mounted, College applications loomed, a symbol of the future, a future that felt increasingly bleak to Eli. He couldn't imagine navigating the social minefield of college, the crowded dorms, the constant noise and stimulation. The thought filled him with a suffocating dread. One evening, after a particularly overwhelming day, Eli retreated to his room, the only place where he felt safe. He shut the door, blocking out the world. He sat on his bed, his body trembling, his mind racing. He felt utterly alone, lost in a labyrinth of sensory overload. He couldn't take it anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. His parents, alerted by an uneasy feeling, rushed to his room. The scene that greeted them shattered their hearts. Their son, their beloved Eli, lay still on the bed. His face, once filled with a quiet intelligence, was now blank, devoid of life. The world stopped. Time lost all meaning. The pain of Eli's loss was a physical blow, a gaping wound that refused to heal. Sarah and her husband moved through the motions of life in a daze, their hearts irrevocably broken. The guilt was all-consuming. What more could they have done? What signs had they missed? The questions echoed endlessly in their minds, offering no solace. In the aftermath of Eli's death, they clung to each other, their shared grief a fragile bond in the face of unbearable loss. They sought support from other parents who had lost children, finding a grim kinship in their shared pain. They started a foundation in Eli's name, determined to raise awareness about sensory processing disorder and to support other families struggling with similar challenges. Eli's story is a poignant reminder that we often misunderstand what we cannot see. Sensory processing disorder, invisible to the naked eye, is a very real and debilitating condition that affects millions of people worldwide. It is a spectrum disorder, meaning that it manifests differently in each individual. For some, like Eli, it can be a constant source of anxiety and discomfort, making it difficult to cope with the demands of everyday life. For others, it may present as clumsiness, difficulty with coordination, or sensitivity to certain textures, sounds, or smells. The sensory experience is not monolithic. We all perceive and process sensory information differently. Imagine a world where a gentle breeze feels like sandpaper against your skin, where the hum of a refrigerator sounds like a jackhammer, where the taste of food is unbearably intense. This is the reality for many individuals with sensory processing disorder. Their brains, wired differently, struggle to filter and organize the constant barrage of sensory input. Everyday experiences taken for granted by most can be overwhelming and distressing. The world becomes a minefield of sensory assaults, making it difficult to focus, learn, and interact with others. The key to supporting individuals with sensory processing disorder lies in empathy and understanding. We must move beyond judgment and misconception and recognize that their struggles are real and deserve our compassion. Educating ourselves about sensory processing disorder is crucial to fostering a more inclusive and supportive society. Simple accommodations, such as providing quiet spaces, dimming lights, or allowing the use of noise-canceling headphones, can make a world of difference. By creating environments that are more sensory-friendly, we can help individuals with sensory processing disorder thrive and reach their full potential. Advocacy is paramount. We must speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, raising awareness about sensory processing disorder and fighting for increased research, funding, and support services. We must challenge the stigma surrounding mental health and neurodiversity, promoting acceptance and understanding. By sharing our stories, by listening to the experiences of others, we can help break down barriers and create a more inclusive world for all. Eli's story, though tragic, underscores the urgent need for greater awareness and understanding of sensory processing disorder. It is a call to action, a plea for empathy and compassion. By embracing neurodiversity, by celebrating the unique ways in which our brains are wired, we create a world where individuals like Eli can thrive. Let us honor Eli's memory by creating a future where every individual, regardless of their sensory experiences, feels seen, heard, and valued. Let us build a world where silence is no longer a refuge from pain, but a space for understanding, acceptance, and hope.